Welcome back to another episode. And today we're going to talk about burnout and what it's really telling you. Because you are not burnout because you work too hard or too much. You are not burnout because you need a vacation. You're not burning out because your schedule is too full or your system is too small or your clients are too demanding. You burn out because somewhere along the way you started to build a business that your soul does not recognize that is yours. In your body, your nervous system, it has been trying to tell you that for months, maybe even years, but you keep pushing, you keep pivoting, you keep adding more strategy, one more funnel, one more launch, hoping that the next right move will finally make you feel like everything was worth it. And today we stop running from that message. Today we're going to sit with it. We're going to discover. We let it change us. Because burnout is not the enemy. Burnout is the messenger. And if you have been ignoring it, it's only going to get louder and louder. And this is a conversation that it can change the entire trajectory of your business. Not because I'm going to give you a new strategy, but because we're going to go somewhere where most coaches are afraid to take you. So get ready and let's go. Let's start here. Let's start with what we've been told burnout is. Because most of what we have heard about burnout is incomplete. And incomplete information, it leads to incomplete solutions. And an incomplete solution are why we keep cycling back to the same place. The world will tell you that burnout is the result of doing too much, of overworking, of not setting enough boundaries. And yes, those things are real. Those things are true, but only in part. They are not the whole truth. Because here's what I have learned in this working with other women entrepreneurs across this community. The ones who burn out the hardest are not the women who work more hours. They are the women who are most disconnected from why are they working? Why are they doing what they're doing? Let me say this again because I need you to hear it clearly. I need this information to land. The women who burn out the hardest are not women who work the most hours. They are working the most disconnected hours. That is the difference. And that difference is everything. The research on this is actually striking. Science, who study what they call occupational exhaustion, what we commonly call burnout, they have found that burnout is not primarily caused by the volume of work. It's caused by what researchers call value mismatch, a disconnect between what you are doing daily and what you actually believes that it matters. Your brain, your nervous system is not designed to sustain effort that it feels meaningless. It would do it for a while. It will go through the grinding, but eventually the system it starts to shut down. Not because you are weak, but because you are a human, because you were wired for purpose, not just productivity. The engine part of your brain, the parts that regulate your energy, your motivation, it will keep you going. They will run on the meaning. And when the meaning runs dry, you will run dry too. This is not a discipline problem. This is not a time management problem. This is not even a mindset problem in the way that most coaches use that word. This is a signal problem. Burnout is a signal. And the question that changes everything is not how do I get rid of this burnout? The question that it changes everything is what is this burnout is trying to tell me? What is trying to show me? And I want to be real with you for a moment. I have seen so many women in this community treat burnout like it's an inconvenience to be managed, a symptom that you can suppress instead of a message to be decoded. And so they rest for a little time, they take a week off, they go on vacation, they do detox, or they do a retreat, a reset, and then they come back to the exact same business, the same exact patterns, the same exact identity. And the burnout returns again. And then they ask themselves, maybe I need more time off. Because the problem is not the time off, the problem is not the break. The problem is that you did not change what was creating it. The rest did not fix, the vacation did not fix it. The new planner did not fix that because the source of the burnout was never the schedule. The source, it was yourself. The source was always that, always the self. And that is where we're going today. Before I take you into this 3 message that burnout is sending you, I want to acknowledge something. Because if you are watching this right now, it's a part of you that is exhausted, a part of you that is trying to continue on, but is tired. Maybe tired of hoping. And I'm not going to rush past that. We're going to take our time. Because that exhaustion is real. And I'm not here to spiritually bypass your pain with a positive language. What you're feeling is real. What you have been carrying that you feel that is heavy, it's real. And you have been carrying this largely alone. Because that is what strong women do. But I need you to know this. The fact that you are here watching this, you did not turn on something else. You did not try to numb yourself. That means something. And it means that it's still part of you, that it still believes something can shift, something can change. Hold on onto her. She is right. That voice is telling you the truth. Something can be changed. Let's go into this 3 message that I want you to write it down. Not just watch them. No, write them down. Because something happens in your body when you take the information from your ears and move it through your hands. So take it from your ears to your hands by writing them down into a page. It moves it from concept into integration because you're doing the action. So grab something to write down with because I need you to take the action. I'm going to give you 3 messages, 3 layers, and we're going to go deep. The first message burnout is sending you is this. The version of you that is running your business is not the fullest version of you who you actually are. So write that down. The person who's running the business right now is not who you really are. That's not really the whole version of you. Let me explain what I mean with that. When you started your business or when you first felt called to do the work you do, it was a version of you that is show up, full of vision, full of fire, willing to take the risk, willing to be seen, willing to believe what you had and to offer that to the world and believe that it was worth it. That version of you was connected to something real, something deeper than a strategy, something bigger than just revenue. And then slowly something went down. Life happened, a launch that did not win the way you hoped to go, a client that it says that your price is too high. You look at someone else's success and start wondering if yours it was possible. You started to play safe, shrinking the vision to match the current reality, making yourself smaller so the gap between where you are and where you want to be, it will not hurt as much. And in that process, you build a business that it fits the smaller version of you, not the cold version, not the full version, the safe version. And your soul knows the difference. This is why you can hit the goal and feel nothing. This is why you can have a good month and still woke up hollow. Because you are operating from an identity that is too small, not your actual calling. And the disconnect between who you are called to be and who you're actually being is a gap in between. That gap is exhausting because it's something that is separated. The science on this is remarkable. Research in the field of identity and motivation, particularly in behavior neuroscience, shows that human beings are wired to move towards consistency with their self-concept. Meaning we do not behave according to what we want. We behave according to what we believe we are. So if you believe, even unconsciously, that you are someone who needs to struggle, who has to work twice as hard to get the results, who is always almost there, but not quite there yet, your nervous system will make that true. It will bring it into reality. Not because it's cruel, but because it's consistent. Your brain primary drive is not success, it's prediction. It wants tomorrow to look like today, and it wants the story to stay the same. In changing that story, that is the real work, not the next funnel, the next identity. You need to change your identity. Here's a question that I want you to sit with it at this first message. Who you need to become for your business to actually work. The way you dream, Not the way you see others, but the way you see your vision, your dream. And not what strategy you need, not what offer, not what price point, who you will have to be, who do you need to become? Write it down. We're coming back to that question. The second message burnout is sending you is less spiritual and more biological. And it is just as important. Your nervous system is not malfunctioning, it's doing the job. The problem is that doing his job is based on old data. And here's what I mean with that. Your nervous system, specifically your autonomic nervous system, your body protection system, his one job is to keep you alive. And it is extraordinarily good at that job. The problem is that it cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and an emotional one. And it cannot distinguish between a lion that is coming at you in the field and the discomfort of raising your prices. To your nervous system, both they feel dangerous. And here's where it gets more significant. Your nervous system does not respond to what is happening now. It responds to what happened before in the past. And it has been collecting that data in your lives since the moment you were born. And the way your shoulders rise when someone questions your expertise, and the way your stomach drops when you think about posting a content, and the exhaustion that it shows up when you're working hard, but specifically when you're about to do something that it matters. This is what the research in epigenetics and somatic science is revealing. Your body carries an emotional and experiential history that it shapes your biology in real time. The thoughts that you think often, they become chemistry your body produces. And the chemistry your body produces become the state that you operate from. So if you have been operating from chronic state of low-grade fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, of success, of being truly seen, your nervous system, it has been in a low-grade emergency for a very, very long time. And eventually, emergency costs energy. Your body starts to feel burnout. It starts to conserve and pulls back and it starts to slow down. That is burnout from the inside out. That is not laziness. It is not weakness. It's your body saying, I cannot sustain emergency mode indefinitely. Something it has to change, and it has to change right now. But here's the part that I need you to understand. And this is the part that most wellness approaches get completely wrong. You cannot rest your way out of your nervous system that is running on an all threat response. Rest, it helps. It's necessary. But rest without rewiring your brain, it just pauses the cycle. You rest, you restore enough energy to get back to the same pattern. And the same patterns exhaust you again. So you will need more rest. And then you come back and do it again over and over and over. What created lasting burnout recovery, real recovery, not just relief, is nervous system healing. It's going back into the body, into the store experience, and teaching your system that it's safe now, safe to be seen, safe to succeed, safe to be fully expressed, safe to charge what your work is actually worth. That is not a quick fix, but it's the real fix. And that is exactly the work that I do, not just at the mindset level, not just at the strategy level, but at the level of who you are in your body. I had to do that for myself. I had coaches who did the mindset, and I was still feeling stuck until I discovered that I needed to work on my body. The third message is the one that most people miss because it's the quietest and it's the most important. You burn out is a divine redirection. It's not a punishment. It's not a failure. It's guidance. Guidance to where you need to be, what is your mission, and what is your real path. I want to talk about something that lives in the intersection of neuroscience and something much, much older. The belief held by virtually every wisdom tradition in human history that we each carry within us a purpose, a calling, a specific reason for being here that is unique to each individual. And when we're living in the working and the aligning with the calling, even when it's hard, there is a quality of energy that is sustain us. A resilience that it doesn't come from willpower. It comes from meaning. It comes from our purpose. It comes from our calling, from our mission. When we drift from that alignment, when we build from the wrong reasons, serve the wrong people, it shows up in ways that it betrays our deepest value. Our soul communicates not through logic, not through a memo or through an email or through a phone call, through feeling. The feeling that we feel in our body, through that exhaustion, through that numbness, through that hollow, through that emptiness, going through the motions quality that burnout carries. I believe with everything that I am, that every woman in this community who is experiencing burnout right now is not failing. She's being faithfully redirected to her purpose, to her mission. The door that you keep pushing and it will not open. It might not be lack of strategy. It might be divine protection. Protection for the path that you will have taken further from yourself and it will not have an ending. And now it's taking you to your real path. It's bringing you closer. The season of slow that it feels like stagnation, it might be preparation. It might be the deep root growth that it happens underground before anything visible appears. Burnout in most spiritual readings is the moment your soul finally refuses to participate in a life that is too small for what your purpose is. It is not giving up on you. It is calling you higher. It's calling you to go up. And when you understand that, when you stop fighting the message and start listening to it, something changes. Not overnight, but fundamentally, because you stop asking, how do I push through this? And you start asking, what is this calling me into? Where do I need to go now? Not fighting it. That question, that shift in that question is the beginning of everything. It's the beginning of the new rest that you will get because now you find your real reason of why you're doing what you're doing. I want to go deeper now. I want to show you what is happening in your brain, in your body during the burnout. Because when you understand the mechanism, you stop blaming yourself. And when you stop blaming yourself, you can actually change. Let's talk about the brain. Your brain has three primary operating systems that it matters in each conversation. The first one is what science calls it the prefrontal cortex, the seat of your highest thinking, your creativity, your vision, your strategic and intelligence, your ability to see possibilities and make meaning. This is the part of your brain that it runs your business at the highest level. The second one is your limbic system, the emotional brain, the part that processes your experiences, your memories, your relationships, the part that decides what is safe and what is dangerous based upon everything you have ever lived in the past. The third part of your brain, the survival brain, the oldest part, the one that it has one mode, survive. Here's what you need to know about burnout. When you are chronically stressed, when your nervous system has been operating in threat mode for a very long time, your blood flow and your neural researches are redirected and redirected away from the prefrontal cortex, away from creativity and the vision and the possibilities and the thinking, and it's being redirected towards the survival centers. This means that the more burnout you are, the less access you have to the part of your brain that it can actually solve the problem. You cannot strategize your way out of burnout using a very cognitive system that burnout has taken offline. This is why entrepreneurs in burnout keep making the same decisions, keep choosing familiar patterns, even when those patterns are not working, keep feeling stuck when they are intellectually know what they should do. Their survival brain is running the show, and the survival brain has a very limited menu. It only serves fears, avoidance, and repetition. Your brain defaults to the familiar rather than fulfilling. The researchers support this completely. The brain hierarchy of needs places safety above everything else, including purpose, including abundance, including the business that you dream of building. So the question is, what do I do? You don't think your way out of it. You feel your way through it. You go into your body, into the places where the stress is stored, and you begin the work by signaling safety at the cellular level, at the nervous system level. And this is what somatic healing does. This is what breath work does. This is what genuine identity work does. Not the kind that it just pushes new affirmation over old wounds, but the kind that it goes into the womb itself and it creates a real change. Now, here's the science and the spiritual meat and the way that I finally absolutely breathtaking. The same research that it showed us how chronic stress rewires the brain from survival also show us the inverse, the elevated emotional states of gratitude, love, deep purpose, produce a completely different neurochemical environment. When you operate for an elevated emotion, your brain produces different hormones, different neurotransmitters. It moves from cortisol and adrenaline, the chemicals of emergency, to serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, the chemicals of growth, of creativity, of connection. Your biology changes based on the emotional state you inhabit, which means, and I really want you to sit with this, the fastest path out of burnout is not working less, is to connect more, to connect to what you believe in, to who you love, to why you started, to the version of yourself who still holds the original vision, uncorrupted by fear and disappointment. Because when you reconnect to that, your chemistry changes, your access to your highest thinking returns. The solutions that they were always available to you become visible again. This is why so many high performers have talked about their breakthrough moments coming not in the grinding, but in the stillness, in the retreat, in the moment of complete surrender. Not because they gave up, but because surrender lowered the noise enough for their highest intelligence to finally be heard. Your soul speaks in a whisper. Burnout is what happens when you have been running the noise so loud for so long that the whisper turned into a scream. And it is time to get quiet enough to hear what it's actually saying. What is that voice is telling you right now that you don't hear it because you have been saturated with so much noise. Okay, so we have talked about the why. Now let's talk about the how. Because understanding is the beginning, but it's not the destination. The destination is transformation, and transformation requires action. Here is the 4-step framework that I use with my clients to decode burnout's message and begin the real work of recovery. Not the rest and return recovery, but rebuilding at the root recovery. The first step is sounds simple. It is not. Most women in burnout can't even accurately name what is exhausting to them. They know they're tired, but they have running so fast, numbing with business, with scrolling, with planning, that they have lost the ability to locate the specific source of their drain, the specific source of why their energy is so low. So the first practice is this: get quiet, get honest, and ask yourself 3 questions. Question number 1: what part of my business, when I think about doing it, it makes my body hurt? It makes it contract rather than expand. And sit with that question. Your body will tell you. Because we're asking not just what is hard, but what it feels wrong. There is a difference between the productive discomfort of growth, the stretch of trying something new, and the soul contracting exhaustion of doing something that is not fundamentally yours. Question number 2: what would you stop doing immediately if you were not afraid of what it means about you? That question goes somewhere because most of the things that they're draining us, we are keeping it not because they serve us, but because of the story that it has been attached to them about what it means to quit, about what people will think, about our identity as someone who does not give up. Question number 3: what was I doing or who I was being the last time I felt genuinely alive in my work? That is your compass. That is the direction, not the hustle, not the metrics, the aliveness. Write your answers. Let them be messy. Let them be honest. This is just for you. The second step is a body-based practice. And I know some of you have wanted to skip this because it is uncomfortable. And that discomfort is exactly why you need to stay here. Burnout lives in the body, not just in the mind. And you cannot think your way out of healing. What your body is holding, it needs to be released, and you have to go there. Here's what I want you to do, and you can pause this video and do it right now. Right now, if you're in your kitchen, you're in your living room, I want you to stop the video and do this right now if you are ready. Place one hand in your heart and place one hand in your belly. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. These breaths are not performance breath. They're real breaths. The kind that actually is slow down your nervous system. And then, with your eyes closed, I want you to ask your body, where are you carrying this? Not your mind, your body. Where is the tension? Where is the heaviness? Your chest, your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach. That location is not random. The body keeps record of everything. The scientific on this is extensive and growing. Your body is holding the emotional weight that your mind it has been too busy processing. And just the act of locating it, of placing your attention there with curiosity rather than judgment, it begins to move that energy. You are not trying to fix it in this moment. You are just listening. You are finally turning towards the part of yourself that has been trying to get your attention. That is step 2, listen to the body. Step 3 is where we get precise. Because inside every burnout experience, there are 2 distinct things that are often tangled together, and separating them is critical. There is the signal, the authentic message from your soul into your nervous system about misalignment, about unmet needs, about direction. And there is a story, the interpretation that your fear based mind has layered over that signal, the meaning you have made from that exhaustion. And more often than not, the story is the most dangerous part because the signal says something needs to change. The story says you are failing. You are never going to make it. You should quit. You are not built for this. The signal is true. The story is not. It's self-attacking narrative. That is not revelation. That is a prime mind that is trying to protect you from the risks by convincing you that you are not capable of what you are actually being called to do. Here's how you separate them. When the burnout voices come up, when the exhaustion speaks, ask yourself, is this the fact or is just fear? I'm exhausted. I need rest. That is a fact. Listen to that. I'm exhausted. Therefore, I'm failing. I'm failing in my work. I'm failing in my business. And I should give up everything because I don't know how to do this. That is fear. Name it as it is. Do not negotiate with it. Do not believe it. Name it and say, this is fear from the past. This is the fear. This is your mind being primal. The simple act of naming it, of creating distance between you and the thought begins to loosen the grip because you cannot change what you cannot see. And once you can see the fear as the thing that it separates from truth, it loses the authority over your decisions. Step 4 is where real reconstruction begins. And I need you to say something about this step that it might be uncomfortable. You cannot rebuild from the same place that burned down. I see women in burnout trying to recover by doing all the same things they were doing. Just a little better, just a little smarter, just a little more efficiently. They optimize their schedule. They delegate more. They use a new productivity system. And then they wonder why in 3 months they are back into the same place. And they don't understand it. They get frustrated and they say, I changed things. Because they rebuild the same structure on the same foundation. And the foundation was never solid to begin with. Real reconstruction, it starts with a single question. And the question is, what does my business look like when it's built around who I actually am? Not who I thought I needed to be to succeed, but who I am. That means going back to your offer. Does it genuinely represent your deepest gifts, or you design that offer around what you thought the market wanted? It means going back to your audience. These are the people whose transformation you are truly called to serve, or do you choose them because they seem safer to approach? It means going back to your content. When you speak, do you speak from the truest, most courageous version of your message, or you put some water to water it down to avoid being misunderstood? Every area where you have built from fear rather than alignment is an area that is quietly draining your energy. Because inauthenticity is exhausting, pretending is exhausting, being a smaller version of yourself so that other people are comfortable is exhausting. That is the most energy consuming things that a human being can do. Alignment is not just a spiritual language, it's a practical energy management. When you align, when what you do matches who you are, the energy comes back. Not the frantic, not the caffeinated, not the hustle energy, the sustainable, clean, and purposeful energy. The kind that it doesn't require willpower because it's fed by meaning. Build from there. Let go of the other energy that you've been carrying for months, for years. I want to close this teaching with something that I believe is the most important part, not the framework. The framework are tools. This is about identity. Because burnout recovery is not just about feeling better. It's not just about having more energy. It's not just about building a more sustainable business. It's about becoming a different version of yourself, the one who created the burnout in the first place. You are different now. You're not the same person. And that is both the hardest thing and the most extraordinary thing about this season that you are in. I want to speak to you directly for a moment. You came into this business with a vision. Maybe it was clear. Maybe it was just a feeling. And knowing that you were meant to do something for something more than your current circumstances were reflecting back to you. But it was real and it was yours. And in this journey, including the burnout, including the hard months, including the moments when you look at your numbers or your empty calendar and you wonder if you made a terrible mistake. All of it has been doing something in you that you cannot fully see yet. It has been building your capacity, expanding your compassion. It has been deepening your roots. You do not get the kind of authority that it truly transforms people without going through the kind of fire that it truly transforms you. The woman who comes out of this season, if she does the inner work and not just outer work, it will not just have a better business. She will have a deeper self, a more unshakable identity, a clarity about her calling that it cannot be confused with comparison or disrupted by a slow month or shaken by someone else's opinion. That woman, she is who your clients have been waiting for. She is who the world needs. But she only comes through choosing today, not someday, to take the message of burnout seriously, not to push it down or push through it, not to perform wellness while you feel that you're running on empty, but actually doing the work. To look at what it needs to change and choose to change it. To look at who you have been and make a decision about who you are going to be from this moment forward. Because I need you to understand something that I believe with absolutely certainty. The version of your business that matches the fullness of your calling already exists. It is not contingent on the economy. It is not contingent on your competition or on a secret strategy that you have not discovered yet. It is contingent on one thing, the woman you are willing to become to receive it. Your burnout was not a dead end. It was a door that you needed to see. The question is whether you're willing to walk through that door, not back to who you before used to be when exhaustion hit you, but moving forward into you were always meant to become. Before I close this conversation, I want to do something that I always do. I want to invite you to make a decision, not a passive one, not the one that it says, I will think about it, a real decision to make that decision today. Because decisions, real, committed decisions made from your higher self are what creates the change. Not information, not inspiration, decision. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do right now, right at this moment, not later. If this touched you, if something in this conversation cracked something open, share that with me. Comment below with the words, I am the operating system. Those 4 words are not just an acknowledgement of this video. They are a declaration. They are you saying, I understand that my business begins with me, that the real work is internal, and I'm committed to do this work. I read every single comment, everyone. And if you write those words, I will see them. And I will know that something changed today in you. Second, subscribe to this channel right now while you are here, because this is not just a channel where we give you surface level business tips. This is where we go deep. This is where we do the work that mainstream business world does not have the courage to address. And if you found this video, you were looking for something real. This channel is the real thing. Subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. If this episode helped you, share it. Share it with the woman in your life who's running on empty right now and doesn't know it yet. Oh, she doesn't have the language for what she's going through. This might be the conversation that she has been needing. Your share, it might be the help that she needs. Third, like this video. It is a small thing, but it's a real thing. It tells the platform that these conversations matter, that this kind of content deserves to reach more people. Click the like button. Do it as an agreement with what we have talked about it today. And now the most important invitation. If you're watching this and you know, not think, not hope, you know that what I described in this video is your reality right now. If you are in burnout, if you're cycling, if you are done with the loop of strategy and exhaustion, in brief recovery, in more strategy, in more exhaustion, if you're done with that, I want to have a real conversation with you. Not a sales call, a conversation. One where we look where you are, what is actually running under the surface, and what is the next thing that you need to do to become the version of yourself that it actually makes your business expand, that it actually looks like your mission. This is a conversation that I have with women who are ready to stop managing their burnout and start decoding it, ready to stop rebuilding the same structure and start building from alignment, ready to stop asking, what strategy am I missing? And start asking, who am I being called to be? Who am I called to become? If that is you, if you felt something in your body, and as I said those words, I want to hear that from you. Go to therealnextlevel.com and apply for my coaching. Not because you are broken and need to be fixed, because you are calling yourself to something bigger and you don't want to walk in that season alone. The women who I work with are not struggling. They're at the edge of their breakthrough. And they know the breakthroughs do not happen by accident. They happen by a decision in choosing the right support in the right season. If this is your season, apply today at therealnextlevel.com. Before I go, I want to say this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing this over the distraction. Thank you for giving yourself the gift of an honest conversation when the easier choice was to scroll past it, but you chose this. That choice to stay, to listen, to let something land, that is not small. That is the beginning of everything. I will see you on the next episode.